The hall was silent, too silent for a room once filled with music, laughter, and the buzzing of diplomatic chatter. Blood now stained the marble floor, thick, dark purple, and not human. A high-pitched alarm rang through the walls of the Galactic Concord Embassy on Savara 9. Bodies were being carried out. Shaken security officers shouted in 3 different languages, and holographic medics ran back and forth. But in the center of it all, one figure remained unmoved. Queen Jahala of the Shiratha Dominion, the most powerful and feared alien monarch in the known galaxy. She lay bleeding, still alive, but barely. No one dared to touch her. Shirathi warriors stood around her, claws raised, forming a protective circle. Anyone who came close risked instant death. Their queen was sacred. Even in crisis, protocol could not be broken. A tall Shirathi priest with golden scales stepped forward and hissed in their native tongue. No foreign hand shall lay finger on the queen. It is forbidden. We wait for the healers of the flame. But the queen's eyelids fluttered. Her voice came out cracked and low, barely a whisper. No, not them, she said. Her eyes opened slowly, pupils like black diamonds. Bring the human. Priest's face tightened in disbelief. Your Majesty? She turned her head, each movement labored. Only a human medic may heal me. Far across the city, Dr. Elliot Vance was enjoying rare silence in the back of a tiny Terran-run clinic. He wasn't a diplomat, wasn't a hero, just a medic trained in war zones, stationed at the edge of civilized space, and doing his best. To avoid trouble, his hands were steady, his eyes calm, his life light, until 3 armored guards kicked down the door. Dr. Vance? One barked, a Terran diplomat with sweat on his forehead. You're coming with us. It's the Queen of Shirathi is demanding you personally. Vance looked up from his tea. Me. By the time Vance arrived at the royal landing pad, the Shirathe flagship had already landed like a floating palace of steel and gold. Towering, insect-like warriors lined the ramp. He was ushered forward quickly without explanation. Wait, Vance said, holding up his hands. I'm not cleared for alien royalty. Never even treated a Shirathi. You need someone more. The Shirathi priest stepped forward, his voice sharp. She has spoken. You will obey. Inside the ship, the air was thicker, scented with oils and something ancient. Everything was dark silver and glowing blue. No human had stepped this far into the Queen's territory before, without signing peace treaties first. They led Vance to a large chamber. The walls pulsed gently with light, alive with alien tech. In the center, Queen Giola lay on a bed of woven biosteel. Her skin shimmered like glass soaked in sunlight, but her wounds were real deep gashes along her side. Slowly leaking radiant fluid, her golden eyes opened as Vance entered. She studied him. You're smaller than I imagined, she said. And you're bleeding more than I'm comfortable with, he replied without thinking. One of the guards growled. Another raised a weapon. Chayla lifted her hand weakly. Stop. Let him speak freely. That is why I chose a human. Vance swallowed and stepped closer, scanning her with a multi-tool. I need to know what did this. Blade, toxin, blast, assassination. Attempt, she said. Poisoned energy blade, Shirathi made. Internal bleeding, nerve disruption. Vance murmured to himself. Your body's healing, but slowly. You need stabilizers. But Shirathi biology is... He paused. Flying blind here. You will manage, she said simply. He worked quickly. His kit wasn't made for royalty, but trauma was trauma. He cleaned the wounds, applied regenerative nanogel, and used his portable scanner to track cell decay. Her body was unlike anything he had treated before. Layers of muscle, plant-like vascular systems, and a strange humming deep inside. Like music in her bones, she flinched once when he touched a rib. Sorry, he said softly. You carry sorrow, she said. He looked up. Excuse me, your hands? They're heavy. Like someone who has held too many dying hearts. That is why I chose you. You do not fear pain. Yours or mine. Vance didn't reply, just kept working. Outside the chamber, political chaos was growing. Human and Shirathi leaders argued through encrypted channels. "You must remove your man," an Earth diplomat shouted. "He is the only one she accepts," the Shirathi replied. "She is not thinking clearly. She is drugged. She is the queen. Her word is law." Earth Command debated, sending a rescue team. Shirathi nobles threatened war if anyone tried. Inside, the silence between Giola and Vance deepened. "You're healing," he said after finishing. "The poison is slow-acting, but I've neutralized most of it. You'll need rest and monitoring." She turned her head, watching him. "No Shirathi could touch me without letting pride get in the way," she said. "You are different. You ask no favors, no loyalty. You serve the wound, not the person. I was trained that way." "No, you were born that way. That's why humans are dangerous. Dangerous." We raised an eyebrow. "Yes," she said softly. "Because you care for those you do not understand, and because you never stop asking questions." Vance sat down on a nearby bench, exhausted. "I didn't sign up to be part of galactic drama," he muttered. "And yet—" "You are." He looked at her. "Why me, really?" She closed her eyes, whispering, "Because in the war, long ago, I once saw a human medic carry a dying enemy across a battlefield. He was weeping, not for himself, not even for his people, but for the one he could not save." Her voice was fading. Sleep was taking her. I never forgot that. As she drifted into rest, the room dimmed. The guards lowered their weapons. And for the first time, Dr. Elliot Vance realized something heavy. He wasn't just patching up a patient. He had just stepped into the middle of a galaxy-shaping moment, and all he had were a medic's hands. The Queen slept for 17 hours. Dr. Elliot Vance didn't sleep at all. He remained inside the alien chamber, sitting on a bench, watching the medical scans blink softly in the air above her body. The biogel he applied was still glowing faintly, working deep into her system. It was holding back the poison, but just barely. Outside the chamber, he knew people were arguing. Earth officials wanted him out. Shirathi nobles wanted answers. But inside this room, none of that mattered. It was just him and her. Queen Jayla's breathing was steady now, but strange. Not like a human's rhythm. It was more like music, soft notes rising and falling. He wondered if her species sang in their sleep. Then her eyes opened. "You're still here?" she said. "Couldn't leave," Vance said with a tired smile. "Your guards would have eaten me alive." She gave a small smirk. "They might still." Vance stood up and checked the monitors. "How do you feel? Weak?" "But alive," she replied. "Your methods. They work, even though they are primitive. Thanks, I think." She shifted slowly, sitting up with effort. Her wounds had closed, but her muscles were stiff. Her golden eyes looked sharper now. More alert, but there was something else, something deeper. "Dr. Vance," she said, "you understand pain, but you do not understand me." He looked up. "No, I don't." "Then we must change that," she said. A few hours later, 2 guards brought a small device into the chamber. It looked like a crown made of metal wires and soft glowing crystal. Jayla turned to him. "This is the path link. It connects minds just enough to share memory, feeling, sensation." "I'm not trained for that," Vance said quickly. "Humans aren't supposed to use alien neurotech. It could fry my brain." She tilted her head. "Do you not trust me?" "I don't even trust my own government most days." "Good, then you are ready." Before he could argue more, she placed the device gently on her own head, then handed the second piece to him. "It will not hurt," she said softly. "Only show." Vance stared at the device for a long moment. Then slowly, he placed it over his temples the moment it activated. His world shifted. He was not in the chamber anymore. He stood in a field of golden grass under twin suns. The sky was dark blue, filled with flocks of flying creatures that sang like bells. In front of him was a younger version of Jayula. It's a child with bright eyes and a crown too big for her head. This was a memory. Suddenly the scene changed. Now she was older, on a battlefield. Fires burned. Corpses lay everywhere, both Shirathi and alien. Vance felt her horror, her rage, her loneliness. Her people cheered her victory, but she felt no joy. More memories flooded in political debates. Betrayal by allies. Endless pressure to be perfect, to be strong. She could never show fear, never show weakness. Then came the darkest memory. A war. Not against humans, but alongside them. Ancient enemy, one now extinct. She was wounded. Left behind. Her own warriors fled. And then a human medic different from Vance ran toward her through smoke and fire. He knelt beside her, crying. She was the enemy then, and yet he helped her. He didn't even ask her name. She never saw him again, but she never forgot. The memory faded. Vance pulled off the pathlink, gasping. His chest felt tight. His hands trembled. That was. He struggled to speak. "My life," Jehola said simply. "You've seen so much, lost so much." She looked away, and you. He didn't answer, but she could already see it in his eyes. War screams, friends lost. A brother who never made it home. A child he tried to save, but couldn't. That sorrow never left his hands. "You hide your pain behind quiet eyes," she said. "And you hide yours behind a crown," he replied. They sat in silence for a while. No one else dared enter the chamber. The guards outside had been ordered not to disturb them. Finally, Vance said, "I think I understand why you chose me. It's not just about the medicine." "No," she said. "It is about the wound inside, the kind no scanner can see." He nodded slowly, but still, he added, "Your physical wounds aren't done healing. I need better tools, a proper med bay, something modern." "You will have access to our inner chambers," she said. "Human has seen them before, but you are not just a human anymore." "What does that mean?" She did not answer. Later, Vance followed her into a deeper part of the shippa. Place made of glowing crystals, moving walls, and softly humming machines. It felt alive, like the ship itself was watching. In the center was a healing pod, Shirathi made, elegant and ancient. It used sound and light instead of needles and drugs. Vance scanned it with his human tools. The readings made no sense. "It works by resonance," Jayula explained. "We believe every being has a song of frequency. Healing comes when that song is restored. And mine?" he asked. She touched a panel. A low, sad note echoed through the chamber. "That is your frequency," she said. He laughed softly. "Sounds like a funeral song." "No, it sounds like someone who still fights even when they've already lost." Vance was quiet, but while they spoke and healed, trouble was growing. Shirathi nobles were angry. Some believed the queen had broken sacred law by letting a human touch her body and soul. One warlord, Lord Vrek, began calling her the tainted queen. Whispers turned into plans. "We must remove the human," he said in secret. "And if the queen resists, be replaced." Back on Earth, the Terran Council watched nervously. "He's been inside for 2 days now," one ambassador said. "We need to extract him. If we send a team, it could start a war or save a life." But none of them could agree. And none of them truly understood what was happening inside that alien ship. That night, as Vance checked Jayla's vital signs again, she suddenly touched his arm. "Dr. Vance," she said, "you have done more than heal my body. You have reminded me what it means to be alive." He met her gaze. "I was just doing my job." "No," she said. "You were doing more, something my people forgot long ago." She stepped back, then knelt down before him, to Vance's shock. Her guards gasped. "You don't need to do that," he said, panicked. But she looked up, smiling. "It is a royal gesture of honor. I kneel not to a man, but to the soul who carried my pain." Then she stood. "I name you Healerkin, sacred among us. You are under my protection. No one may harm you." "What does that mean?" "It means," she said quietly, "that those who try will declare war on their queen." 3 days had passed since Queen Jehola was attacked. Her wounds had healed on the outside, but the poison still lingered inside her, hidden and slow like a shadow in her blood. Dr. Elliot Vance stayed close. He no longer felt like just a guest or prisoner, not even like a human among aliens. He had become something else entirely. He was now Healerkin, the only outsider ever trusted by the Queen. But not everyone welcomed this change. In the dark council chambers of the Shirathi, High Court deep inside another ship orbiting Severnina, a group of nobles met in secret. She kneels to a human, growled Lord Vrek, his armor lined with scars. She lets his hands touch sacred flesh. It is a disgrace. She says he healed her, said another noble, more carefully. Perhaps, but she also speaks to him in private. Shares memory, trust, emotion. That is not healing, that is bonding. The room fell silent. That word bonding meant something dangerous in Shirathi culture. It was more than loyalty. It was the joining of souls. If she is bonded with a human, said Vrek, voice cold, then she is no longer fit to lead. Back on the Queen's ship, Vance adjusted her medicine schedule. Though she said she felt fine, he could see the signs. Slight tremors. In her fingers, darkening veins under her skin, pulse of her organs beating irregularly. Whatever they used on you, Vance muttered, scanning her again. It's not normal poison. It's alive, changing. Jayla sat quietly on a medical platform. She watched him with calm eyes. It is called the Wither, she said softly. Made by traders long ago. It adapts. It cannot be removed. Only slowed. And you didn't tell me this before? You needed hope. And I needed to see if you would give it, Vance sighed, rubbing his face. So it's terminal? 4. Most, she said. But I am not most. He stared at her. Do you want to live? The question hung in the air. Even the glowing walls seemed to dim. Finally, she nodded. Yes, but not if it means losing who I am. You haven't lost anything, he said. I have lost the trust of my people, and the respect of my council. She looked down at her. Hands that once held a sword in battle, now pale with sickness. I cannot lead if they see me as weak, she said. And they see you as my weakness. Vance's jaw tightened. You're not weak, he said. You're wounded. There's a difference. She looked up, surprised by his sudden fire. Let me be clear, he continued. I don't care what your council thinks. You're my patient. You asked me to heal you. That means I'm staying until the job is done. Just smiled, faint but real. You are stubborn. Yeah, that's a human thing. Meanwhile, Lord Vrek was preparing his next move. A message was sent, encoded in quiet, to a loyal Shirathi warship in deep orbit. Operation Cleanse begins at dusk. Remove the human, silence the Queen. The throne must be protected. The answer came in a single word, understood. That evening, Jayola asked Vance to walk with her through the inner gardens of the ship. It was a strange place, filled with glowing plants, floating petals, and soft music made by light itself. Do you miss Earth? Mostly the food, the skies, people I lost, family, just a younger brother. He died in a refugee zone bomb blast. I tried to save him, but I was too late. She looked at him gently. That is the wound you carry. He nodded. That's why I became a medic. I couldn't save him. So now I try to save everyone else. They sat on a stone bench near a pool of water that shimmered with starlight. I chose you, she said, not because you're the best doctor, but because you never stopped caring. He looked at her. Caring doesn't always help. But without it, she said, we become cold. Like those who tried to kill me. Suddenly, the lights dimmed. Loud alarm echoed through the ship. Vance stood up. What's happening? Shayla's eyes narrowed. Intruders. Internal breach. Her guards surrounded them at once, weapons drawn. A voice came over the ship's system. This is Lord Vrek. I come to save the throne. The Queen is sick and misled. The human must be removed. Shahola stood tall. Her voice thundered through. The ship, I still breathe, Vrek, and while I do, I rule. No longer came his reply. Explosions rocked the ship. Enemy warriors beamed aboard using short-range teleport tech. It was a coup. Vance grabbed his med kit. "We need to get you to safety now," Shahola refused. "I will not run. My people must see that I still stand." More blasts shook the walls. Smoke poured in. Her guards fought bravely, but Vrek's men were well trained. "We can't." "Hold them," shouted a commander. Shahola turned to Vance. "There is a sealed chamber below. It's a heart room. You will take me there now." He nodded. They ran through dark halls, pursued by warriors with energy blades. Vance pulled Jala behind him, blasting a path with a borrowed plasma pistol. He was no soldier, but adrenaline kept him sharp. They reached the heart room, a sacred chamber used only by royals. It was shielded from scanners and protected by ancient code. Once inside, the door sealed behind them with a deep hum. The chamber was circular, its walls lined with glowing roots and vines. In the center stood a stone altar covered in symbols. Shahola collapsed onto it, coughing. The poison. "It spreads faster when I am stressed," she gasped. Vance dropped beside her, scanning quickly. "It's reaching your lungs. I need to counter it now." He opened his case, mixed an emergency compound, and injected it into her neck. Her body seized for a moment, then relaxed. "You'll live," he whispered. "But you can't fight and lead like this. You need to rest." "I cannot," she said weakly. "If I fall now, they win." Outside, the battle raged. Loyal guards were falling. Vrek was minutes away from breaking into the heart room. Inside, Shahola looked at Vance, eyes fierce. "There is one last chance," she said. "A ritual is the binding flame. It links to beings' shares, strength, life, and power. But it must be with someone who is willing." Vance blinked. "Wait, me. It will heal me. At a price." "What kind of price? If I die, so do you." He froze. "It is not a command," she said gently. "It is your choice." He stared at her, this proud alien queen, once distant and cold, now vulnerable and full of fire. He thought of his brother. He thought of all the people he couldn't save. And then, without a word, he reached out and took her hand. "I'm in." Binding flame was a ritual older than empires. As they stood together, the roots of the heart room lit up in gold. A beam of light wrapped around them, humming like a song. Shahola spoke ancient words. Vance repeated them, trusting her. Their hearts beat together. Their breath became one. He felt her pain deep and sharp, and she felt his grief long and quiet. Then a wave of power surged between them. Her body glowed. The poison screamed inside her, but then burned away in light. She gasped, then stood tall, alive, strong, whole, outside. The door burst open. Vrek stepped in, weapon drawn. "You're finished," he shouted. Jayula turned to face him, her eyes blazing with golden fire. "No," she said. "I am reborn." With a flick of her hand, the room pulsed. Vrek's blade shattered. His body was flung back by invisible force. "Guards," she called. Loyal troops stormed in behind her. Vrek was taken, bound in silence. Later, as calm returned, Jaola walked beside Vance through the ship. Her wounds were gone. Her steps were strong. He looked pale but alive. "You're part Shirathi now," she said, "a soul-bound guardian." He smiled weakly. "Do I get a crown?" She laughed for the first time. "Don't, but you get something more." "What's that?" "My trust." The coup was over. Lord Vrek had been defeated and imprisoned. His followers were disarmed, their weapons taken, their authority stripped. The queen stood tall again, but her enemies had left behind scars deeper than blades. Queen Shahola was alive, yes, but her rule now hung by threads of fear, politics, and ancient law. And Elliot Vance, the human medic who saved her, now walked in dangerous light, admired by some, hated by others, and watched by all. The next morning, a royal assembly was called inside the sky-corded chamber open to the stars, with crystal bridges and floating thrones. The queen would appear before the nobles, warriors, and priests to answer one question. Is she still fit to rule? The ritual was known as the Trial of Flame. It was not a trial of crime, but of spirit. A leader had to prove not only strength, but purity of soul, clarity of purpose, and full loyalty to the Shirathi way. And this time, she would stand with a human beside her. Vance adjusted his medical coat nervously as they entered the court together. His human boots echoed against crystal floors. Alien eyes followed him, some curious, some full of disgust. "You okay?" he whispered. "I've stood before death," she said. "I can stand before them." As they reached the center platform, a priest stepped forward. His robes shimmered with living light. His voice echoed across the chamber. "Queen Jahila, daughter of war and flame, you are summoned to the trial of flame. Have you been touched by weakness?" "Yes," she said clearly. "I was poisoned. Have you survived it?" Did you use alien help to cheat death?" She paused, then looked at Vance. "I accepted the help of a healer," she said. "One with the soul of fire." Murmurs rose in the crowd. The priest narrowed his eyes. "And did you bind yourself to him?" "I did," she said proudly. Another wave of shocked whispers. Some nobles rose in anger. Others sat in stunned silence. "You risked the purity of your throne," the priest said. "I risked my life," Shala replied, "and I lived. Is what a ruler does." Then came the second part of the trial, the test of flame. A circle of fire appeared on the florial, living flame that did not burn skin, but read the truth of a being's soul. The queen had to walk into it. If she passed, the flame would bow to her. If not, it would rise and consume her in shame. She stepped forward without fear. As she entered the flame, it swirled around her body. Red, then gold, then white. It danced and shimmered. Her aura spread through the chamber like a song. A memory, a truth. People gasped. They saw not weakness but her fight against poison. They saw not betrayal but her choice to trust. They saw not shame, but strength made from pain. Then the flame knelt before her. The priest bowed deeply. The flame accepts. "You," he said, "you remain queen." Cheers erupted through the sky, court though not from all. Some nobles clapped slowly. Others stayed cold. But none dared challenge her openly now. After the trial, Jala and Vance walked through the royal chambers in silence. "You didn't have to come with me," she said. "I would have understood if you stayed back." "And missed the fireworks," he said with a tired smile. "Not a chance." They reached the highest balcony, overlooking the stars. "It was quiet here, you know," Vance said. "On Earth, when someone survives something like this, they go on vacation." Jahola tilted her head. "Vacation? It's like rest, away from duty." She laughed. "That word does not exist in our language." Figures, they stood close. She looked up at him. "You're still weak," she said gently. "The binding ritual took much from you." "It gave something too," he said. Their eyes met. No words followed, but no words were needed, far above them. In the orbiting shadows of space, another ship approached. It was cloaked, black as the void, marked not with any known empire, but with the red sigil of the Orn Dominion. A message crackled from the ship's core. Target confirmed. Queen Jayala. Status, soulbound to human. Orders, intercept. Disrupt, eliminate. Human threat level, unclear. Proceed with caution. It wasn't just Shirathi politics anymore. This was bigger. The Dominion feared what Jayola and Vance had become, an alliance born of blood and soul, and they would not let it grow. That night, the stars over Savaranine flickered. Inside her chamber, Shayla slept, her breath steady. Vance sat nearby, reviewing her latest blood scans. The poison was gone, but new signals had begun appearing in her DNA. "You're changing," he whispered, frowning. Suddenly, an alarm blared. Red lights filled the room. He grabbed his kit, ran to the command console. "Emergency breach. Hostile boarding detected," said the ship AI. More enemies, but this time they weren't Shirathi. Explosions rocked the hull. Strange black warriors stormed the halls. Their weapons fired beams of dark energy that disintegrated walls. The guards were caught off guard. Two fell before they could even draw blades. Shayla woke instantly. Orn Dominion, she said coldly. Vance helped her up. Who the hell are they? An empire of shadows? They see soul bonding across species as a crime against life itself. He blinked. That's insane. To them, she said, we are a threat. She armed herself with twin blades. Vance picked up a shock rifle. Let's give them a reason to fear us. Together, they ran into battle. The Queen moved like fire fast, elegant, lethal. Our body was stronger than ever, enhanced by the bond. She struck down Dominion soldiers with grace and fury. Vance stayed close, guarding her back. His shots were careful, surgical. He wasn't a warrior, but he didn't miss. They made their way to the bridge. There, they found the leader of the attack, a tall, silver-masked warrior with burning red eyes. You have broken the law of purity, he said. Right. You have mixed fire and flesh. Jehola stood firm. I broke chains. I will not kneel. The warrior raised a dark spear. Then Vance stepped between them. You want her? He growled. You'll have to go through me. The warrior paused. He scanned Vance and saw the bond glowing in his chest. A healer, he said, tied to flame, bound by heart. You are not human anymore. No, Vance said. I'm something better. With that, he fired. The battle was fierce. The warrior fought like a god, but Jayla and Vance fought like one being. Their bond gave them timing, instinct, speed. Every strike she made, he matched with support. Every moment he stumbled, she caught him. In the end, the silver warrior fell broken, defeated. The rest of the attackers fled. Hours later, the ship was secure. The Queen's people gathered in the grand hall. Jaola stood before them, her armor scorched, her eyes blazing. You saw what came for us, she said. Not rebels, not traitors, but outsiders who fear what we've become. She reached for Vance's hand. This human saved me, then stood with me, then fought for you. She looked at her people. If this bond is shameful, then I reject your shame. If this love is a weakness, then let me be weak. She raised their joined hands. But if it is strength, then let us rise together. The chamber was silent. Then, slowly one noble knelt. Then another, until the whole court knelt before them. Later, the quiet garden once more, Vance sat beside her. I guess we're a team now, he said. She smiled. You were never just my healer. He raised an eyebrow. Then what am I? She leaned in. My heart, and for the first time since Earth. Elliot Vance smiled with nothing held back. Peace had returned for now. After the Orn Dominion attack, the Shirathi royal fleet moved into high alert. The Queen's ship orbited above Savaranine like a guardian, its shields active, its weapons charged. But deep inside the ship, in a quiet chamber lit by soft blue lights, Elliot Vance and Queen Jayla sat together. Not as ruler and Medica, but as something far more personal. He was tired. She could see it. You need rest, Giola said softly. I'll rest when you do. Vance replied, running a scan over her chest. She laughed gently. Still playing doctor? Always, he grinned. The scanner showed stable signs. No poison, no damage. Her body had not only healed, it had grown stronger. The bond had made her a fusion of two bloodlines, Shirathi and human. Her cells were different now, adaptive, powerful. So were his. Though Elliot didn't say it out loud, it changed too. The ritual that had saved her had touched him in ways medicine couldn't explain. He could now feel her emotions, even faint echoes of her thoughts. Their hearts beat in sync when close. It was more than connection. It was unity, and not everyone liked that. In the lower council chambers, tension boiled once more. Some nobles accepted the bond. Some even admired the Queen's strength, but others saw danger. This cannot last, said Lady Cyril, draped in black feathers. He is human. He is not bound to our laws. He is bound to the Queen, said High General. Droner, that is enough. No, she hissed. He is changing her, making her soft. Droner narrowed his eyes. She just survived an assassination, healed a poison none of us could cure, and defeated a Dominion warrior. That is not soft. She chose love, Cyril replied coldly. That is weakness. There was silence. Then a whisper spread among them. If she will not let go of the human, perhaps we must let go of her. Jala felt it before any words were spoken. The halls grew colder. The glances of nobles, sharper. She had walked through blood and flame. But now she faced something worse: political silence. They do not speak openly, she told Vance. But I feel the cracks forming. He nodded. Do you want me to leave? She turned sharply. No, never. But if I stay, then we fight. Together. 2 days later, a strange signal was picked up in orbit. A deep space pod, no ID code, floating near the moons of Savara. Vance examined the data. Could be a probe, could be a message, or bait, Jehola said. I'll go, he said. Immediately she frowned. Alone. It might be meant for me. She hesitated, then nodded. Take my best guards and take this. She handed him a small silver token. It bore the royal crest fused with a human medical symbol. What's this? A promise, she said. The pod was ancient in design. Not Shirathi, not Dominion. Vance floated toward it in a small scout vessel, his guard team close behind. He opened the hatch. Inside there was only one thing, a recording device. He played it. A hologram appeared, a human face. Old, scarred, worn by space. This message is for Dr. Elliot Vance, the voice said. If you're hearing this, then you've bonded with the Shirathi Queen. Vance blinked. I'm Admiral Pierce, Earth Command, Last Fleet. You don't know me, but we've been watching. The hologram paused. There's a storm coming. The Dominion is just one head of the Hydra. Old empires are waking up. They fear unity between humans and aliens. Your bond is hope. Also a target. The hologram leaned in. If she trusts you, then you must protect her. Because what comes next will burn across galaxies. And you are at the center. The message ended. Vance stood in silence. When he returned, Shayla met him at the hangar. What did you find? Vance handed her the recording. She listened, quiet, focused. Then her hand closed into a fist. They fear us because we are new. Because we prove that the future doesn't have to look like the past. They'll come again, he said. All of them. Not just Dominion, others. Then let them come, she replied. We will not kneel. The next day she called a gathering of all noble houses in the Star Throne chamber. She stood tall, wearing ceremonial armor with gold markings, new symbols. Born of fire and flesh. Vance stood beside her, not hidden, not ashamed. She addressed them all. I was poisoned. I was betrayed. I was left to die. But I lived, her voice echoed. You know who saved me? A human, not a warrior, a healer. Some looked away. Others stared coldly. I chose him. I bonded with him. Not because of politics, but because he reminded me what leadership means. To heal, to protect, to listen. She paused. If this offends. You. Then challenge me now. Silence. No one moved. She raised the royal blade. If you stand with me, then stand now. Not for tradition, not for blood, but for what we can become together. Slowly nobles rose. Some bowed. Some hesitated. But more stood than sat. It was not full unity, but it was enough. That night. Jala and Vance returned to the garden. This time no alarms, no attacks. Just stars. He sat beside her on the stone bench. You saved your crown, he said. You helped me wear it. They sat quietly. Do you ever think about Earth? She asked. Sometimes, he replied. But you're my home now. She took his hand, and you are mine. In the weeks that followed, changes swept the fleet. A new council was formed, half progressive. Shirathi warriors began training beside human advisors. The Queen declared a new alliance, the Flame and Flesh Accord, inviting. Other species, who believed in peace and unity. It was the start of something different, something daring. Some still whispered behind her back, but none dared move against her, because they saw it now. The bond was not weakness. It was a new kind of strength. In a final moment. Weeks later, Vance stood beside her as she prepared to launch. The Unity mission and exploration fleet to find allies, old and new. Jayla turned to him. "Are you ready?" "For what?" he asked. "To change history." He smiled. "I already did. The moment you let me touch your wounds." She leaned in, foreheads touching. "You did more than heal me," she whispered. "You made me feel alive again." "Can you," he said, "gave me something to live for." The engines roared behind them. The stars opened ahead. Together, hand in hand. They stepped forward, not just queen and healer, but soulmates bound by pain, love, and the future they dared to create.